And we are back. What's going on, ladies? But welcome back to Beyond the Nine. So we've got a first preview of the year. We've got again Chris from Coventry City fan. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good, Neil. Thanks for having me on. Really excited to be here.
No worries, no worries. And be nice in the comments. They're normally quite nice. But again, we've got Chris. So just from your perspective, Chris, just coming into last season, I know we were talking last season about Coventry and how it's gone. But in terms of the way that this pre-season's been for you, how's it all going with Coventry City?
Yeah, I couldn't start this without referencing playoffs and the absolute heartbreak. And don't get me wrong. I think most Coventry fans who are sensible we were way beyond our expectations. Nobody expected to be in the playoffs or even in touching distance of the Premier League. But to lose in that way was devastating. But we've brushed ourselves down. I think we've all agreed. If we want to go up, we're happy Luton are there, so we'll be cheering for them. So no hard feelings there. But my expectations in terms of where we were right from the start, this pre-season and where we were, I thought it was going to be quite hollow, given how the season ended. This has been our best pre-season for a long time in terms of on-field and off-field. It's such an exciting time to be a Coventry City fan. We've got new owners, we've got a fantastic manager, we've got a fantastic core squad, and we're adding to it. It's great. It's really exciting. I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun on transfers and that sort of talk, but in terms of pre-season performance, we've had what, 4 friendlies, solid results in all of them. I think we beat MK Dons 5-1, which was incredible. They were playing a solid team, and don't get me wrong, we're in different divisions, but I think what that really gave us is that proof that we're a genuine threat these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they are, again, even from last season, it was watching the playoff finals, you mentioned, it seems like you're going from strength to strength. And part of it is you're mentioning, I can never pronounce his name. The player you sold to, what was it called? Player you sold to Sporting Lisbon.
Sporting Lisbon, yeah, Victor
Gyökeres, that's it. So just looking at, again, coming into some of the formations at the moment. So this was kind of how you were setting up last season. Just coming into Gyökeres, how important do you think he is? But you mentioned the fact that you sold him, again, got a lot of money for him. How do you think you're going to cope with that coming into this season? How's Robins dealt with that?
Look, I mean, he's been our best player for years. It's without a doubt, but a huge amount of credit needs to go to Mark Robins and our team that we've got around. We've turned Gyökeres from a £1 million Premier League reject from Brighton into someone who is a £20 million player, and rightfully so. He went for less than he was probably worth because he was in the last year of his contract. We have to accept, it's a loss. It really is. We'd be naive not to say that. The thing that I think most City fans would say is he wasn't the most prolific of finishers. He was an absolute fantastic player for us and was playing beyond our level. However, we've seen better finishers in the club, and I think he needed 3 or 4 chances a game to guarantee himself a goal. He could be quite selfish on the ball. This isn't me being bitter. There's no sour grapes here. I respect the fact that he's done a great job for the club. I think he can. I think he's replaceable. I truly do. I think for the money that we've got for him, he is replaceable. It's better than leaving. If he was to leave on a free and we were to have him for 1 more year, what we've got from the money and what we've reinvested into the squad, it's well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we see that, and we've seen that with Leicester City last year. The fact that we've had players run down their contracts, and also something people don't talk about, they don't care as much because they're thinking about their next move. They're not going to go and put in a tackle. They're not going to go 100% in, because if they get an injury, they're on a free. Nobody's going to want them. So, again, not saying that he was going to do that, but we've seen that in this case for our team. And then obviously
absolutely,
replacing with
obviously. Yeah. Sorry, Neil, I was just going to say, obviously referencing Tielemans off for a free. You must be feeling disappointed about that, in terms of how things have gone there. The fact he was going to going to Arsenal last season, and now he's gone to Villa. Walked out the door for free. You got nothing for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was as bad as it sounds, that was the least of our problems last year. People leaving on a free. It was just because of the amount of problems there were on the pitch, off the pitch. The training ground was turned, from what we heard, into an absolute, it was turned into just a holiday camp, and the manager just didn't get stuff right. I remember talking to you earlier this season going, we keep playing like this, we are going down, and we ended up going down. So
Yeah.
For me, it was the fact that it shows you the likes of Maddison. So the three main ones that stand out for me: Maddison, Tielemans, and Brendan Rodgers. All of those three thought they would go to bigger clubs. Brendan Rodgers gone back to Celtic, kind of below his level. James Maddison's gone to Tottenham. I think he wanted a better move to a Champions League team. And I think Tielemans ended up at Aston Villa. So I think all of them would have gone to better teams, but they, again, just shows you the fall of the team. They didn't end up going.
Yeah, I think it's a really fair point. You can't be happy with Villa, let's be honest. I got to get the dig in there as a Coventry fan.
To be fair, I was just like, leave. If you don't want to be here, leave. So the fact that we're not playing against him next year makes it better as well. That's kind of like a sweet tip. But coming into how you were playing again this season, again, I've got this one reason why I got this graphic up at the moment. You're playing look at the way that Robin set up his team. It seems to be quite fluid, and I've got like a defensive formation at the moment. There's like a box midfield and the five at the back. How do you think that suited you last year?
The one thing you get from Mark Robins is consistency. And I think when you look at our last 17 games of the season, if you take away the playoffs, we lost one game, and that was a complete rogue entity, lost 4-0 to Stoke, just out of the blue. But those 16 predominant was, there were wins across the board, and we just closed teams down, and we were playing, like you say, free flowing football. It's because as you've got in a defensive setup at the minute, you've got those wing backs who can come back and they make a 5, and you've got a very solid defensive formation there. You've got Hamer, who is box to box. I think people see him as a number 10 more than what he actually is. When you see him play, he's box to box. He's there and he's breaking up the play, and he's fantastic. He's almost becoming a 6th defender in those situations. But then, as you reference, those wing backs coming forward, it's such an attacking threat. It's a really attacking team that we put in place, but there is that fluidity and flexibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. And again, it's really hard to get this in one formation, which is why I got a defensive one and I've not got an attacking one because I've not had time to put one together. But again, there's more of, it was that the wing backs getting really high. And I think even in this game, because we're operating with like a similar formation, we get onto Doyle in a second, who we got on loan. But we're playing, I think in this, that midfield is going to be vital to try and win, because we've got the likes of Harry Winks in there, Kingersby Hall in there, potentially Wilfred and Diddy looks like he's starting as well. So I think that game, even though they're going to be playing at 3 at the back, that midfield, kind of like cliche, is going to be where who's going to be on top. And I think from minute 1, whoever needs to be on top of it.
Yeah, and I can see us. You've gone based on this. It's defensive, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is how we were to start. We'd be quite naive if we were to come in, away from home, being in a position where we're going to be going there on the front foot. Really, I can tell you straight, we're content coming away from this with a point. We're taking a team from the Premier League who's come down. There's genuine confidence that we can surprise you guys when we play. However, personally, from my perspective, we come away with a 1-1 draw. I'm walking into the season in a positive spirit.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Especially, I think that's how a lot of teams are seeing us. We are kind of the Man City of the Championship coming into this, and there's going to be that expectation. I think even looking at the wages last season, it was ours at 62 million, and yours is towards the bottom as well. So I think
it's incredible.
Yeah.
When you look into that, and I've seen a few of those tables, the sort of the wage league table, and you're right, you guys are absolutely there sky high with what Southampton alongside, and we're rock bottom alongside Plymouth. We're £4 million versus your £62 million. Don't get me wrong, I think that structure's changed a bit now, given the players that we're bringing in. However, we're lower half.
Yeah, but it's a fraction. It's not even half. It's going to be nowhere near even half the amounts, which is crazy to me as well. And in terms of, again, one of the players we mentioned previously, now we've got one of your players had on loan. Now we've got on loan Doyle. What do you think that Leicester fans can expect from Doyle this season?
He's a fantastic prospect. He really is, and it's he's typical out of the Man City youth book. He's just one of those players who he's energetic. He's got energy to burn. But even with that, he knows his defensive role. He does get back into position. I think all too often what you see, especially with young right wing back, left wing backs these days, they almost see themselves as an auxiliary winger. And yeah, it's fantastic that they've got that functionality to go forward. But as we've seen with like Trent at Liverpool, they need to work on their defensive game. Whereas what you get with Doyle is he has got that built in. He is a defender at his core who just happens to be fast, happens to do that overlapping run, happens to be able to bring in some attacking threat. We're gutted we didn't get him back. We really are. We were really hoping to get Doyle and McNally back. We had them both on loan last season. And by the looks of things, well, McNally's gone to Stoke, and Doyle, I think, has gone to yourselves.
Yeah, so we've got Doyle as part of that. But I'm surprised he went to Stoke of this year as well. But I think it's interesting. I think just coming into some of the players. So who do you think Leicester City should be looking out for coming into this match? Because there were a few players even talking about Hamer this season, going, we'd like him in the squad, as fans do. But who would you think is one to particularly look out for from a Coventry perspective?
So without a doubt, if I can shoehorn our transfer business into this conversation, because I'm so excited about what we've done this season so far in the pre-season, as I referenced earlier on. So our team has brought in some fantastic players. So the core of our agenda was always to try and keep Gyökeres, to try and keep Hamer. As it stands, at the minute, Hamer's going into the game at the weekend and he's going to be playing. He's going to be there. He is an absolute critical player within our team. The difference in the player final when he went off, it was tangible. It was very clear to notice. He will always remain our key player. However, we've brought in Ellis Sims from Everton, who is a fantastic prospect up front. There is real energy and talk behind. I'm trying to recall the guy's name. It's Haji Wright, coming from Antalyaspor, and he's going to break our record transfer fee. They're talking €9 million is going to be costing for us to get him over the line. And there's a possibility if we get him through, he might actually be able to be there in time. He might be able to make it for the game on Sunday. You've got the list there, Milan van Uyck, he is the player who Leeds wanted. We're competing against Leeds. We're even competing against PSV to get him. And I think what that says about us as a club is we've become an entity. We've become a challenger. I think last season is a huge, huge testament to that. You look at this lad, Sakamoto, he is incredible. He is... Before Milan van Uyck turned up, he was going to be our right wing back. Now he's almost been promoted to become our right winger. He can cross with his right foot, he can cross with his left foot. I've seen him in pre-season on a couple of occasions. He is incredible. Honestly, he is going to tear up the Championship. He really will. I don't know whether we'll be able to see highlights of that on Sunday, but he really will. And I think he is a concern that your defenders will be looking out for. And I imagine they'll be doing a little bit of monitoring on him. The rest, I'm yet to be educated on. If I'm honest, I'm not too excited by Jay Da Silva. The stuff that I've seen of Bristol City when he was there, neither here nor there. But we've had players in the past that have turned up who I've not necessarily thought too much of, and they've suddenly become fantastic players. Our management team seems to be able to do that. It seems to be able to convert mediocre players into genuine talent.
I think the other one, I think you're spot on there. I think one of the ones as well, Ellis Sims obviously coming in from Everton. I mean, that's a statement signing in itself. And just even the age of them, you mentioned, they're all pretty young, and there's a couple of them just coming in. So Brad Collins and Sakamoto coming into their kind of primes. But the majority of them, you look like you're adding to an already young squad.
Yeah, I think that's the agenda. And what we're seeing for the first time in a long time is players are getting 4 or 5 year contracts. What we're doing clearly is we're building for the future. You look at Brad Collins, theoretically for a goalkeeper, he's a youngster. He's got he's got 11 solid years in him still, and he did a lot for Barnsley last season. He was a very good goalkeeper. We had a fantastic goalkeeper with his name's gone out of my head. Ben Wilson. He's been fantastic for us, and he get 20 clean sheets, 21 clean sheets, I think, last season. He was absolutely unstoppable. He even scored last season, scored against Blackburn Rovers. So, I don't know if Brad Collins is going to get himself on the score sheet, but there's some stiff competition. But the fact we're bringing in quality to try and compete with each other says a lot.
Yeah, and it says also that you're bolstering the squad by getting people in, not just on loan, but you're getting people in and you can fight on multiple fronts. But in terms of this season and kind of the ambition, obviously you got to the playoffs and the finals of the playoffs. What do you think is it? It looks like your ambition, just from what you're saying, the ambition is to go one further and try and go and add on what was really successful season last year.
Yeah, I think, as I said at the start, I don't think anybody expected us to be making a push for the playoffs last season. I think we wanted to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season, which is exactly what we were. I think the expectation this season, given the fact we've lost Gyökeres, is probably, before these transfers started coming through, it felt as though we were in a position where we're probably going to be comfortable finishing around about 9th or 10th. I honestly feel we have got a real opportunity for playoffs, and comfortable playoffs. We're talking where Luton finished last season, where they'd wrapped up the playoffs with 5 games to go. I cannot see us toppling yourselves and Southampton for top 2. I think that's it. I think that's sewed up already. I think, if I'm honest, I can see Leeds struggling.
Mm-hmm. Get the table up in the meantime, if that rings any bells. Obviously, we're all on 0-0-0 at the moment. But who else do you think will be in those positions?
So, look, based on Championship last season, you look at who was there in the playoffs or who was there or thereabouts. We had Middlesbrough, we had Sunderland, Swansea, Norwich, Watford. They're always going to be competitive from that perspective. West Brom. There's so many Premier League stalwarts in this league these days. It's so hard. I think the general consensus has been this is one of the hardest Championship seasons for a long time. And it feels even more devastating that we didn't manage to escape it, because it does feel as though there is so much talent in this league. As I say, if I had to give top 2, I'd be saying Leicester and Southampton, top 2. Yourselves, I think I can just see you walk in the league. I honestly can. I think the quality that you've brought in, it just speaks volumes, and the quality that you've been able to retain. Yes, it's going to be, you're going to be everyone's FA Cup final, but I still think you've got enough in you to beat them. Looking around here, there's a few who I can say they're going to be having relegation battles more than promotion challenges. You look at Cardiff, you look at Rotherham, you look at QPR, Sheffield Wednesday.
Preston, maybe?
Yeah, Preston were close to the playoffs last time, but they just tailed away. They're like Preston, Bristol City. They just fill those middle sections of the league constantly.
Fair enough. I mean, there's another one again. There's Middlesbrough as well, again with Michael Carrick. What do you think about that? I'll tell you what. I can't lie. I've not been paying attention too much. When I went into the Premier League, I'm going to be the person that remembers the Championship, and I remember what we were like. And then Match of the Day came along, and I just forgot all about it.
Yeah, and you closed the door and you forgot everything about the Championship.
Yeah, and that's the honest truth about it. And I would try and lie and say, no, I'll pay attention. I was like, I remember some of these from the last time we played, but it's highly changed.
I'd be doing exactly the same thing if we got there. So don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Middlesbrough. Obviously, got to give them a name check. We played them in the playoff semi-final. They made the playoffs last season. We've got them second game of the season, funnily enough. They're a good outfit. They've got a good team. I think Michael Carrick's done a good job. He does get a lot of plaudits as a very good manager, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't see much when we played them in the semi-final. We got 4 points from them over the 2 games in the season, and then we drew and we beat them in the playoff semi-final. So they were quite easy to pick apart. But yeah, I think they could be there, because I just think they are a challenge. They've got good players. Yeah, I mean, because you look at teams like Norwich and you look at West Brom and Watford, and really the parachute payment structure, they're starting to run out of those now. And I think
Mhm.
the way it works, I'm not to get on my soapbox here, Neil, but I'm not a fan of parachute payments and that sort of concept. I
Mhm.
really, I get the theory, I get the logic, but I'm just not a fan. I think the challenge you need to face when you get relegated from a league is you need to plan for that every single season. You need to be prepared for the fact of your wage structure needs to deal with the fact you aren't going to be getting that income. So that's what creates these yo-yo clubs. And West
Mhm.
Brom and Watford and Burnley and Norwich were like that for a fair few years. And I'll be honest with you, I take great pride in the fact that they're not there now. So hopefully they'll be mid-table.
And it shows you about the championship, because if it was that, if it also, again, I'm quite neutral on it, but obviously because it benefits my team in this half. But if it was that good, you would say the same three teams coming up and down. There tends to be a couple of them, but like the Fulhams and the Norwiches, but then it's not always they're up and they're down. They're known as yo-yo club, but they're not every season in out in out.
Yeah, I think when you look at teams like Watford and what they did, I think the expectation was they were going to go straight back up
Mm-hmm.
last season. But that tells you just poor structure. You know, the way that that club's been run and the way it's been run for years, it's just such a volatile place to be. And I think they're paying the price for those sorts of things. And the expectation was they were going to go back up. And I'll be honest with you, Neil, I don't think they've built for a few years in the Championship, but I think that's what happens to those clubs that don't build for that. I
Mm-hmm.
think even from the brief conversations me and you have had, in terms of where you are as a Leicester fan, you're slightly prepared for the fact this might be you in the Championship for a couple of seasons. I know the expectation and the hope is you're going to go straight back up, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to be prepared for the fact it's not always that easy.
No, and I think it's going to be hard. And even just coming into this, we've not. You were saying that Coventry have had a good preseason. I wouldn't say Leicester City have had a good preseason. We've been off in it. We were prepared for being in the Premier League. One game was called off because of monsoon. Playing in Thailand in monsoon season with an open roof. Who would have thought that? Then we've
Good
had
plan.
Liverpool where we got battered 4-0. Again, you can't look too much into it, but you could just tell that we need another 2 weeks in preseason. Coming into this game, if you're saying you're ready, I don't think we're ready enough to take you on. No, I'm not confident going into the first game of the season that we are prepared. So that kind of works in your favor, I think.
Absolutely. And I think if we had to pick a time to play you or to play Southampton or to play Leeds, I think it would be one of the first few games of the season because, you know, we're comfortable. This is a comfortable pair of shoes for us to be slipping back into. You know, we don't want to be here, but we are here. Whereas your view is very much you don't belong here. You belong in the Premier League. You're a Premier League team. And there's almost that fear of, you don't know what's going to hit you. And I think you're going to have a few surprises throughout the season. But early doors, like you say, if your preseason has been as bad as you say it's been, we are a club that is genuinely buoyed and genuinely feeling quite positive, even considering what happened.
Hmm. I mean that works again. It works in your favor. So what teams have you played this season? 'Cause I can tell you ours afterwards. But what kind of teams have you been playing this season? And I guess it's been based in England.
Yeah, we don't tend to go abroad very often. We're a little club now. So what have we had? We've had Shrewsbury, we've had Exeter, I think we had MK Dons, and then who was our first? Oh, Forest Green. Played Forest Green.
Okay.
So don't get me wrong, we've not played any teams in the same league. We've not played any teams that are going to challenge us really. I think the
Hmm.
expectation has really just been get some minutes under the belt, get that match fitness back up.
Fair enough. That was the plan for us as well. But I think we took on. Oh God, we're going again. This is the first time Leicester City's been away since we won the league. But it's been a few years since we do it at home, and I love doing the preseason away day, especially we get to like. We went to Derby, last season. That was great. Doing preseason at Derby. Who else? Who did we do this year? I'm going back now. We did Peterborough. Then we had Northampton. We had what's the name now? Leuven, which is our like sister club. Then we had then it was supposed to then we were supposed to have Tottenham. that was cancelled. So we had some Thai team called Port, no idea, Port FC, and then we had what was it called? And then we had Spurs, we had Liverpool, but you could tell by the Liverpool game they weren't ready, and that was a week before we played you. So we're coming back. We are jet lagged, but I think it is opportunity. But how do you see the game going? Obviously, we can't predict the future, but do you think the Coventry players and the owners the manager will be right up for this one?
Yeah, I really do. I think he wants to put a marker down to say that we're not licking our wounds from last season. We're in a position where we're ready to fight, and we want to put a marker down for the rest of the league to say, look, you've got something to be scared of. I honestly feel Mark Robins is a very very pragmatic manager, and I think the fans are very pragmatic because of that. We've had him for so long now; he's been so consistent. It's started to bleed through into our culture. I think the view is we'll be very happy to take the point, stay in the game, and if there's an opportunity for us to, if we sniff the chance, we can go for the win. We will take it. We absolutely will. He is fantastic at pivoting a game, and he will play strategically. And if he sees the opportunity, he will definitely go for it. So, my prediction for the game is 1-1. But if I had to say you can't sit on the fence, you've got to pick a team to win, I would be backing Coventry. I would, because I feel we're an unknown quantity to yourselves, and I think we've got more to play for. We've got more of a point to prove.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and I think defensively as well, we're not looking shaky. And Doyle's a good player, but he's still working his way into the squad. And it was supposed to be Connor Cody alongside him. He's injured. I don't know. I think we'll have to find out from the press conference when he's back for, but it's not going to be for this game. They're playing Yannick Vestergaard, he's a good player, but if you have a 1-2 touch past him, he turns like a cruise ship. He's 6'6", and he just turns like so slowly that you can get behind him quite easily. And even against Liverpool, he was out jumped by Jota. I don't know how
Oh,
when you're
wow.
that tall, but he was out jumped by Jota for the second goal, something like that. So I think we'll start the season slow, and then eventually we'll build a momentum later on. But yeah, I just want to say, thanks for coming on. But we'll still have to get best of luck with the rest of the season, apart from next game. But is there anything else you want to mention at all?
No. I must admit, one thing that I do love is I love the fact that we can have these local derbies again. It's as much as you guys don't want it, if we're in the Premier League, I'd be loving it. If it's in the Championship, I love it. I love the fact that the M69 derby, the worst name for a derby ever, but I just think it's fantastic that we're back in and we get to have some competition. Because sadly, teams like Aston Villa and yourselves, when you're in the Premier League, you don't care about little old Coventry. Now you have to. I like that.
Yeah, but there's only us before. I remember when about 10 years ago, when I started going, we were the worst team in the middle, about 10, 12 years ago, we were the worst and then it was Forest were there, you were there, we were there, Derby were there. So in terms of that, for us, it's only on the West Midland side, you're the only rivals. We don't really care about Villa. We actually quite like Wolves because they're similarly kind of run club to us. But for your end, who are the main? So is it Baggies, ourselves, and who else is there?
So main rivals, even though they don't care about us, is Aston Villa, then Birmingham, and then Leicester. I'd say in no particular order. When you get further afield, more Black Country, we don't really care. West Brom, we like to have a rivalry. We like to think everybody hates us, but as I say, I don't think people think too much of us, if I'm honest.
Fair enough. Again, I forgot about Birmingham. Do you see the news about Birmingham City this morning as well?
Oh, about Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't know what you made
Incredible.
of that.
I don't know what he's decided to waste his money going there for.
He wants an underdog, but he doesn't realise he's going to drown his money in the. Oh, we'll have to see, because again, weird things have happened with Birmingham. But
absolutely. I mean, one final, and this will be the final thing I'll say, Neil, just on ownership, is what a breath of fresh air Doug King has been, our new owner, who brought 85% stake in the business last year, and then proceeded to follow through with his word and finish off the other 15%. He's now the full rightful owner. He's paid off all the debts. He said if we were to back him in season ticket sales, he'd back the club with a transfer budget, and he's absolutely followed through on that. We're breaking records that we've never seen before. There's no better time to be a Coventry City fan, and I think a lot of that is down to him, obviously down to Mark Robins, but it's great to see for a team that has been so just through the mill so much to be back into this position. Frankly, whatever happens this season, as long as it's not a relegation battle, we're happy. It's the best place we've been.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good point. And I think but at the same time, when you've had that taste of playoff finals, there's part of you and part of the fan base like, I want that again. So even though you're being realistic, there's part of you that's like, if we finish second half of the table, it will be a disappointment.
It will. I have to accept that. Realistically, finish 9th or above, and as long as we're there or thereabouts in the playoffs, I'll feel like it's been successful.
Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. It makes sense with, again, the young squad you've got as well. So yeah, Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Again, appreciate you coming on. Make sure, again, everybody like and subscribe, and we'll see everybody in the next video. So goodbye.